to today's webinar. The topic is 2025 Technology Trends and Goals. My name is Rich Rosalia. I'm going to be leading today's session. And before we dive into today's content, I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. The webinar should last no more than 30 minutes today. That includes time at the end for questions and answers. All of the participant microphones are on mute, so if you have a question, just use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to submit it, and then we'll address all those towards the end of the presentation. Today's session is being recorded, and we will upload it to our company website so you can view it for future reference or share it with any of your teammates or people in your network. And just a side note, originally when we were working on today's webinar, we were planning on presenting it in the fourth quarter, but we had to make some changes. So it would have had a section on budget creation. We eliminated that section since we're assuming at this point everyone's got their budget set, being that we're here in Q1. So instead, we put some additional time in on the emerging technology trends to talk about those a little bit more. And our goal today is to really help you learn about all of the 2025 technology trends that we're reading about and hearing about and seeing out there with our clients, so you could start to explore how they can help you improve your operations and overall efficiencies. So with that, I'm going to bring a presentation up on the screen and get started. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen now. So one of the 2025 technology trends that we're seeing a lot is in a sort of emerging and starting to become more of everybody's everyday operations is how to use AI, and in a lot of cases to use it for data analytics. So we've all been exposed to AI at some point now. It's really what powers chatbots. So when you have a customer service website and you're submitting a question online and it's automatically generating answers. It's not actually a person talking, it's a chatbot. But AI is moving well beyond that. And we're seeing that organizations are starting to find ways to use AI to analyze data and help automate tools and processes that will help them with decision making. It's also being used on the marketing side to try to real-time personalization of marketing campaigns based on a customer's behavior. So what they're looking at on a website, how long they're spending on a certain page, it'll then generate marketing pieces based on that. From an operations standpoint, one of the ways that we're starting to use it at Bridgepoint is to analyze what types of hardware are customers requesting more often than not. If there's certain types of laptops or servers or network equipment that we're replacing or upgrading more often with a larger number of clients, then that'll help us analyze that and make sure that we're keeping that type of equipment in stock. And it's doing it automatically instead of having someone sit at a computer and try to scroll through all of the orders and compile a spreadsheet. It can do it in seconds. Cloud computing is something else that we've all been exposed to in the past. A lot of companies were resistant to this up until COVID, and then started to realize, okay, having an on-site server might not be the best fit. We need to start storing our data in a cloud server. What has led to more and more demand for cloud computing has also started to identify some of the issues with it, depending on where that off-site server is stored and what kind of connectivity and network speeds a business has. They might start having latency and trying to pull down files, share files, upload documents to the cloud. So we're seeing a trend toward more of a hybrid model when it comes to cloud computing. This is where you're taking a mixed approach. You'll hear it called edged computing. So there's a smaller on-site appliance that's designed to work in tandem with the off-site cloud server, and that allows it to process data more quickly and increase speed. We're also seeing more and more cloud native apps, so applications, software applications. In the past, there were software companies that weren't pushing the cloud version, or they were not making all of the same features available on a cloud version that they were on the traditional software version. That's changing. We're seeing more and more so that now that they're leading with their cloud-based application. So if you have apps that are running that you thought weren't available on the cloud or didn't have all the same features on the cloud, it's a good time to start exploring what the newer versions look like. Cybersecurity is continuing to be a technology trend. No shock here. Every day there's another story that comes out. I just saw one yesterday predicting how much money businesses will lose related to cyber incidents by 2030, and it's just astronomical. It was in the trillions. So cybersecurity prioritization is leading to more and more technology tools. Zero Trust is a platform that we've really made a big push with our current client base over the past year or so to make sure that we're implementing zero trust policies. That's a platform where anybody who any program or application that tries to open up on a computer will not be allowed to do that unless it is on a pre-approved list. So the zero trust mentality means only certain programs are allowed to execute files on a device or on a server, and if it's not on that list, it'll block it and it'll notify the help desk, or in some cases, it'll actually use AI to identify that and detect it. AI is also being used behind the scenes to track behaviors of users, of devices, in the sense that it's looking for things that are out of the ordinary that might be a sign of a cybersecurity breach. And then cyber liability insurance is something that has already started to emerge as a pretty large base of the business insurance industry. It's growing. It's becoming more almost like an expected that you should have this at this point. This is where the insurance policy that you have for your business will allow you to put a rider on it for cyber liability, where you would be protected against any losses related to a cyber incident. So if you have downtime, if you have data loss, if you have fines related to a data incident, your insurance company's cyber liability policy may cover that. What you have to do, though, if you're going to explore that with your insurance company, is make sure that you are accurately completing the cyber liability insurance questionnaires that they will send out, because just like any insurance policy, if you don't fill out that questionnaire up front accurately, and then you end up having a claim on the back end, they'll deny the claim. Technology is starting to focus more on environmental sustainability. That's continuing in 2025. We're seeing more and more of a push for smart devices. So any sort of technology that can be used to improve energy efficiency or cut costs, reduce carbon footprints, whether it's in a manufacturing process or just the way that your business office is managed. Those are more and more becoming sort of standards that offices have. E-waste, which is a huge problem for the world, how to recycle these old technology assets, especially going back to what we talked about with clouds. There's a lot of servers and large pieces of hardware, IT hardware, that are no longer needed. So what happens to all that stuff? Instead of going to landfills, it's kind of spun off a whole new industry where recycling companies are focusing on how to go through that e-waste, take out components that might be used or elements that might be used for other types of technology, and recycle that. So it used to be kind of a problem when you had a lot of hardware, laptops, monitors, whatever, things to get rid of that you didn't need anymore. It was hard to find people to take that stuff. Not anymore. Now, recycling companies have found that it's a pretty good business model to pick that stuff up and recycle the parts that can be reused. There is a continued shift to the cloud, as we talked about, and that will help also with environmental sustainability. So as more and more organizations move to cloud computing, it reduces the number of on-site data centers that are needed. And that is also a big plus when it comes to energy use for as an industry and how to be more sustainable. Talked a little bit about AI in the first slide, but automation as a whole and IoT. IoT stands for the Internet of Things. You'll see this just about every appliance you buy right now can connect to the internet, can connect to Wi-Fi and do some sort of AI. But organizations using it for inventory management, like we talked about the example that for Bridgepoint. So how can AI help automate and track the whole process of stocking and making sure that the right amount of inventory is kept on hand at all times? Automation for customer engagement. So those chatbots are becoming smarter and more conversational and finding ways to collect the information from customers, what types of things they're asking about, and turn that into marketing or turn it into business intelligence that can be used for more strategic future paths when it comes to what you're going to offer to the clients. And smart offices, as we talked about earlier, all the energy efficient types of push to have devices that automatically control lights and climate, temperature, security systems. You're finding more and more offices now where the lights turn on automatically if you walk into a certain room, and they only stay on for a certain amount of time if they don't sense movement. This is nothing that's new, but it's something that's becoming more and more commonplace. Everybody knows remote and hybrid work has been a big trend over the past several years. Ever since COVID, it was something that was pushed upon everybody and had to be done and has not really gone away. You know, it's in some cases turned into more of a hybrid world where people are not expected to be in the office every day, but they might go in once a week or twice a week. This has pushed more and more technology demands for 2025 to continue this. What we're really finding here is, you know, coming up on 5 years since COVID happened, we see that more organizations are moving away from their traditional office footprints as they're reaching the end of commercial leases they were in. They might say, we don't need such a large office space anymore. We can do with a smaller office space now and allow people to work from home more often. This is then creating the need for better communication between employees, whether they're working from home or working from an offsite office or actually in the office. How does everyone stay on the same page? So the three things that we're seeing in technology trends related to this is unified communications. So you might see that acronym UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service, thrown around. It really means how do you integrate all the different communication tools that you're using as an office, as a business. So your phone systems, you've got your work phones, you've got your cell phones, your texting, your emails, your video messages, any sort of collaboration tools. UCaaS is designed to pull that all into one single source to make it easier and more efficient for the work staff. Virtual reality. I know it's thought of more from like a gaming standpoint right now, where you have the headset on and you could pretend you're playing tennis or some sort of a video game and you're immersed in that world. Well, they're starting to release more and more VR applications for work environments now, not just for employee training, where you're actually, if you're in a manufacturing job, instead of training there in the plant, you can be training through a VR headset and actually going through the physical motions that you would go through in the job itself, but also for collaboration. So they have VR applications now that are designed to help remote workers feel like they are there in the office or they're in the same conference room with the people that they're meeting with. So that's something that is still sort of emerging. And then AR, which stands for augmented reality, is something that is continuing to emerge in mostly in marketing and advertising. So with the evolution of smart glasses, these smart glasses that keep coming out every year and getting more and more um, looking more and more like normal sunglasses or normal eyeglasses. They're not looking like something that's a technology driven thing. People are wearing them out in public and just wearing them in their everyday life, and they are able to create advertisements that have built-in augmented reality. So you might be looking at a magazine that has a ad for a new car that's coming out in 2025. And if that ad was designed with AR in mind, might be a QR code that you look at, and then all of a sudden the ad sort of comes to life. The car is driving and it's showing you like an inside tour of the car. So some really interesting stuff when it comes to augmented reality and how that's going to affect marketing and advertising. And then collaboration tools, we've already kind of talked about that a little bit, that trying to put things all in the same place. So platforms that are commonly used like Microsoft Teams or Slack, they're just becoming more and more part of everybody's everyday life. This is how we communicate with each other. Instead of walking down the hall and popping your head in someone's office, you're sending them a chat message in Teams, or you're sharing a file in Teams. So the trend there, as people use these more and more, is are they taking advantage of all of the best tools that are available, and are all the employees kind of used to these and accepting that type of situation where this is where you share information, this is how you ask questions. We're seeing a change in the demographics of overall employees. I think this is the first year, I just read an article a couple of weeks ago about this. This is going to be the first year that there are more workers from Generation Z in the workforce than there are baby boomers. So as those younger workers become part of our everyday lives, they are used to this type of stuff. They're used to virtual reality and VR headsets and smart glasses. They're used to communicating through chat messages or any of these sort of apps that they use. So something that everyone will be continue to see more and more of a trend in. So with all of that, those are sort of the top trends this year that we're seeing. What do you do with all of them, and how do you decide whether or not they're going to be part of your organization? And if they already are, how do you improve the use of them in your organization? So that's where a technology roadmap comes in. It's really a plan that every organization should go through at least once a year to sit down, create this roadmap of here's where we want to invest when it comes to technology. Here are the types of emerging technology that we want to start to explore more deeply because we think it could impact our business in a positive way. And here's how we're going to implement all of these changes. So this roadmap is meant to illustrate the plan for the entire organization, help the leaders strategize what to explore and how to implement it. How organizations typically create these roadmaps is through their chief technology officer or their chief information officer. So that CTO or CIO will lead the development of the plan. They will get feedback and input from different department leaders about making sure they understand the different technology that they're thinking about investing in as an organization and how it could impact their team and their department, and making sure that all of these investments align with business objectives. So that CTO or CIO is key in this process. Now, we realize a lot of organizations aren't large enough to have a CTO or CIO, which is where a virtual CIO comes in. So you've probably seen the acronym VCIO. That's what that stands for, virtual CIO. This is when an organization uses an outside employee, sometimes a vendor like Bridgepoint, sometimes it's a one-person team, a consultant, to serve as their CIO and help them put together that technology roadmap and the plan for the year. This is something that a lot of organizations do well, They realize that having an outside expert to help lead this plan is good because they're not biased. They don't have sort of these preconceived notions of here's how we've always done it at ABC company and here's how we should continue to do it, or we can't do that because this department won't accept it. They don't have those biases, so they're able to offer a fresh perspective. They're able to share best practices from other clients that they work with and other industries that they work with, so that you can sort of get a glimpse into what other organizations are doing to be successful with technology implementation. And they might have ideas that someone inside the organization would never even recognize because their full-time role is really looking at this for multiple organizations and multiple industries. They're able to identify and bring ideas to the table that you just wouldn't have time to even find out about. So this is all, something that if you don't have a CTO or don't have a CIO, this is something that you should look at with your current managed service provider or look at with an outside consultant. How can you use a VCIO to help implement a technology roadmap at your organization? We have started to make this a bigger focus with our clients this year. Actually, we're making a big push towards it to how can we do a better job with our clients and make sure that we're making them aware of these services that we have available. So with that, I'm going to move over to the questions. Let's see if we have any in the chat. I do not see any questions. We have some about 10 minutes right now. So if anybody has any questions they'd like to throw out there, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Give it another minute. Okay, there's one chat message that came in earlier about what industries benefit the most from having a VCIO. I don't think it's really industry specific in that case. It's more about the organization itself. So organizations that typically benefit from having a virtual CIO are organizations that, one, do not have the in-house expertise, or two, have some in-house expertise but are a little bit overwhelmed and not really able to think strategically. They're more about, they have an IT manager or an IT director who's more about putting out fires than they are about being proactive and thinking 3-5 years down the road, what types of technology improvements can the organization make? So it's really more of a cultural thing than it is an industry specific thing. One other question about how can technology help the remote team stay connected? And in general, the bottom line when it comes to helping remote workers stay connected to the team is, one, making sure that they're comfortable with the tools that you already have in place. So if you have Teams, if you have Slack, there's a number of these types of messaging applications that organizations use. Are people comfortable enough with it? They kind of know the culture around it. Is it okay to just shoot off a question to someone in Teams, and how long should it take to get an answer? It should be faster than email. And when it comes to where files are being stored and shared, is there a good, clean, organized system for that? So a lot of people use Microsoft SharePoint and OneDrive in tandem, but do they even understand what the purpose is of each and where should certain things be shared? And are the applications and permissions set up correctly to make sure that only certain people can see certain files or certain folders in certain teams? Again, those are all things that your IT manager or IT director should be able to help you with, is understanding that. And if they don't, then should reach to your outside consultants for guidance in those areas. Okay, so one more message just came in. I think that is, actually, that's just a thank you. So, okay. So thank you, everybody, for your time. As a reminder, this meeting was recorded, so it'll be available to look at it on the Bridgepoint website. And we are planning to have our next webinar on February 20th. I'm not quite sure what that session is going to be yet, but we're starting to look at something really focused around social media. So you'll see some information about that shared on Bridgepoint's social media, and you will see some emails come out with the topic and registration details. And we've got now more than 21 years of experience helping improve cybersecurity, IT support, and technology strategy. So please contact us to schedule any additional discussions on the topic we talked about today or any other topics related to technology. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of the day and hope your 2025 is off to a great start.